Well, hi, folks, and welcome back to Naturally Adventurous. There's been a bit of a break because I've been on the road. Charley was also on the road. But I'm Ken Behrens, and as always, I'm joined by my good friend Charley Hess. And we also have a special guest. We have a special guest this week, which is my sister-in-law, Linjo. And just to introduce Linjo briefly, she's Malagasy. She has a master's degree in geography. She works with my wife in their company, Eighth Continent Expeditions, which is a Madagascar tour company. So she does all kinds of things for them, both in the office and the logistical side of things, and also guiding tours all around Madagascar. That's where you've probably come to know her, Charley. I think you guys have done a whole bunch of tours together, and I have as well. We've co-guided a bunch of tours.
Yeah. Always lots of fun. Hi, Linjo.
Hi, Charley. Hi, Ken. Hi, everybody.
Ini vovo.
It's vovo. Salama, Charley. Did you remember your Malagasy so far after a year off?
Oh, no, a little bit. You know, as well as being a great sort of guide and traveling companion, she's also my Malagasy teacher. So we have a rule on tour that every day I have to learn a new phrase and try and use it. So yeah, no, I miss my Malagasy, eh?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's been a bad year for your Malagasy practice. Shame.
Yeah, I had to fill the void with Thai and Mandarin and other languages.
Yeah, and it's nice to be here again, hearing you talking, chatting, and
she's listened.
It's interesting.
She's listened to a few of our podcasts, but now she's part of the podcast. So it's good to have her. So the reason why Linjo is here is basically, well, I did that big Mahodzedzi trip earlier with the family, which we talked about on the podcast. But after that, I still had itchy feet. I still wanted to get out and see more stuff after this year of no travel. And so Linjo is also a guide and a traveler, and I think she was feeling the same way, this kind of like desperate, like, 2020 is a lost year. And so we hatched a plan where we would basically meet halfway between Diego and Tana, which is this lovely little town called Ansui. So we met there. She was trying to fly, but that wasn't possible, so she ended up just taking a taxi Bruce, and I drove down from Diego. And I don't know, I think both of our drives were about 19 hours. And we met up, and then we traveled together for about 2 weeks. So we had definitely had some adventures. This was off the beaten path, middle of nowhere, bloody hot, sweaty, start of the rainy season. So yeah, it was a true adventure, and she was great company for this adventure. So we'll tell you a little bit about that. But before we get into that, I'm curious what you've been up to, Charley. We haven't been in touch, but I know you went to Chiang Mai, right?
So I think last time we talked, I was in a sort of noisy coffee shop with lots of banging cups and stuff. And when I went through and listened to that, I didn't notice all the noise at the time. I thought it was quite sort of just soft, but the amount of clanking cups and things and coffee grinders and stuff going on was So I think I'll be trying to next time I do one of these on the road, I'll be looking for somewhere a little bit quieter. But I was sort of mid trip. And from there, my son and I, we went back because he had a school vacation, remember? And we drove back up, which was about a 12-hour drive. But on the way, of course, we split it up with some more reserves, national parks. And I've got a couple of interesting sightings from one. You know, we've been talking a lot about mammals, and it sort of got me really in the zone of searching for mammals. And we had some interesting mammals on the way back. We went to a national park called Kankrachan, or Gingajan, if you're Thai. Gingajan. And we just stopped there for one night, just because it was sort of on the way. And people may remember in the past I've talked about this sun bear that was seen by several nemesis animal, but which I looked for and didn't find. But we saw a lot of other things there. We had a couple of great walks in the forest. There was a lot of fig trees fruiting. Huge fig trees along the Three Streams area. It's like a long road that goes through this beautiful, tall, kind of semi-evergreen rainforest. Beautiful stretch of road. and you always see interesting things along there. And
Yep.
we came across some really big fig trees there. And they were just full of dusky langur monkeys, these beautiful kind of dusky grey, sort of long-haired monkeys with these very funny little faces. They've got these little white eye rings.
Spectacles.
Again, put little spectacles on. They've got such a funny little look about them. And they're little babies of these little pale orange things. And then they were even rarer than those were the white-handed gibbons. And there was a lot of these. And we were sort of below the tree looking up in the scope, and they were just they've got these ridiculously long arms, and they just swing beautifully. I remember when I was a kid, I used to read books about gibbons, and I just used to wish I was a gibbon. I could just sort of swing through the trees.
I love gibbons.
And they were swinging through the trees, and then sometimes they'll do like a little tightrope walk when they can sort of run along with their little short legs along these thick branches. Which just looks hilarious. They do these sort of bipedal locomotion through the trees as well. So we were watching all these very cool antics. And at a point, we heard this huge honking noise. And then this whoosh of wings, and then these two huge great hornbills just kind of glided down from this low hill. And then right into the tree, really close to us. And these things are absolutely enormous. I think you've described them as being like a sort of pterodactyl before.
Yep.
and they've got that look about them. These just big, long, banana yellow bill and casque, and they're just so big, and their wings are so big that they just create this rush of wind flying down, and they just flew right above us. And it was just amazing. It was absolutely awesome. It was so much fun.
Was Felix freaking out? Was he pretty excited about this?
He was loving it. He was absolutely loving it. It was going off, and there was just birds everywhere, and it was really, because it was the school holidays. The campsite there was just packed. There was probably, for there, relatively, there was probably 30, 40 cars, and loads of tents. Maybe more, maybe 50 cars. So the whole campsite was full, but then you get along this road and it was just empty. We had the place to ourselves, so we had these amazing spectacles just to ourselves, and it was really special. And another very cool thing we saw when we were there, where this sun bear is supposed to come out on this little heap where they throw all the scraps from the restaurant at night. You've got maybe a 5% chance of seeing a sun bear, but you've got a 100% chance of seeing porcupines.
Ooh, yeah.
And these big Malaysian porcupines with these long quills, and they come in every night. There's probably about 10 of them come in, and if you stand very closely, quite close, they'll come right up to you, and it's a wonderful place for photographs. So we really enjoyed those as well. And what else did we see? I think on the way out also we got some other really cool primates, which were these stump-tailed macaques. These sort of shaggy brown
big macaques.
Yeah, big macaques with these red faces, bright red. They look like they're alcoholics. They just got these
alcoholic
flushed red faces,
kind of angry drunks too.
Angry drunks, yeah, sitting by the edge of the road and with no fear, and we just pulled up. Yeah, you're sort of looking for a fight or something like that. They're just really cool, and they're endangered species. I think the Lar gibbon, the white-handed gibbons, are endangered species. It was just really cool, and we arrived there in the afternoon and left the next morning, and we saw so much just within a few hours, which was just absolutely fantastic. And if you remember, on the last time, I think I talked about a reserve where we saw these golden jackals, which are basically these miniature wolves.
Golden wolf. Yep.
And one of the reasons I wanted to go there was to look for these wild buffaloes, these banteng, these sort of bright orange, huge buffaloes with these little white legs. And I figured out how to do it. Last time we were just driving around a little bit, and then this time we went in, and within about 100 meters of being in the reserve, we had a stampede of 10 buffaloes just ran across the road. which was just amazing. And that was a new mammal for me.
Oh, really?
Which I think was mammal number 500. You know me with my lists.
Ooh.
So now
That's
I've
very
seen 500
significant.
mammal. Yeah, like half a
Half
grand.
1,000, yeah.
Half
No,
a
that's-
thousand. And you know, and seeing mammals, you know, getting a lot of mammals is a different kettle of fish from seeing a lot of birds. You know, it's a lot more.
It's much harder. Yeah.
Yeah.
You can see 500
then
birds
from-
in one really good Columbia trip or something, but 500 mammals
exactly.
is a decade plus
quite
of
an achievement.
accumulated sightings.
Yeah. And then we went in, and they have some wildlife watchtowers there, and I wanted to go to them last time, but they all just said no entry, you know, and I didn't really know how to do it. But I spoke to some people, and they said you've got to go and get a park ranger, and they've got to sort of escort you in, because remember this wildlife sanctuary has tigers in it. Tigers and leopards and buffaloes and elephants and all sorts of other dangerous animals. So we went back and got a ranger, and he came along on his scooter, and they escorted us into this this wildlife watchtower, which was sort of on it was overlooking a big, because most of this area is like woodland or sort of dry deciduous forest, but this was like a huge grassy clearing with a little river that went through it. And we got into this watchtower and went up, and there was this herd of about 20 banteng. Just, you know, they might have been 100 meters away, but like really good views. And they were all lazing around. And Felix started, I think he grabbed a chair and knocked it against the wall or something like that. And these animals all shot to their feet. And they all start running around and chasing each other. I mean, they gave us like a really good show. And they're just so beautiful animals. And I've been wanting to see them for so long. So that was quite a highlight.
I bet.
And then
Are they reintroduced there,
uh-huh.
or is that just a natural relict population?
I'm not sure, but they do seem very wild. They're very skittish. They're very nervous. You know, you go to some reserves in some, you know, like in South Africa, wherever, and there's no predators there, and there's just some zebra and some wildebeest, and they're just standing around,
lazing around,
munching grass.
Yep.
Yeah, just not a care in the world. And then you throw a
weren't like
lion
that.
in there. You throw a lion in there, and then suddenly everything's on edge, heads up, you know, alert. So these things are really, you know, they know there's danger around. So they were, you know, it just felt very wild. And there was other deer in there, these muntjac deer. As we were driving along, they just shot across the road like lightning. It was amazing. The whole place just felt like it's got this kind of electricity to it.
Nothing like a few
so that was
tigers
very-
and leopards to put the local ungulates on edge.
Ooh, yeah. So that was great. So that was my little trip back, and then we came back up here, and then it's back into everyday life and school, and So that was fun.
No more road rage incidents on the way home.
No. And also, I've managed to fix my car now. That you remember the door handle that I ripped off
Yep.
in like getting out of the car. Anyway, I've got to fix more new door handles, so we're all ready for my next trip, which will be at Christmas. So I'm pretty amped to hear about you guys' trip. You've given me a couple of teasers just in the little bit of contact that we've had while you've been away, but no, I'm very excited, and I'm thinking that you might have seen a couple of things that I still haven't seen. So I'm probably
quite a few.
I'm preparing myself to be gripped off.
Always this competition.
No, you know when somebody's seen something that you haven't, it makes you a little bit, especially when you're a competitive person like me.
Exactly.
Just like you said. To tell you about, I told you the basic premise of our trip, like why we traveled. It was very spontaneous. There was no plan. There was no bookings. I actually hired my friend Angelique, who's a guide up at Amber Mountain, and he came with us the whole time just to help with logistics. And he's also certified to guide in some of the national parks. So, and he's actually, you know, very knowledgeable, unlike some of the guides you get if you just show up and take a guide. So, and then he's also absolutely desperate for work and desperate to get out in the field. And so it was a way of helping out a friend and somebody who needs help during the pandemic too. So that was.
I remember the interview we did with him a while back. He sounds like a really fascinating guy.
He's a fascinating guy, and he knows a lot. He's been almost everywhere. So as I drove south to meet Linzu, we're driving and we're looking at all these like mountains scattered around northern Madagascar. He's been on like every single mountain on some expedition or another, and he tells me, "Oh yeah, wow. we took 55 porters there, and then we hiked up that way, and then we were in there for 3 weeks." And it's he's an interesting guy to hang out with. So much experience. But
so he was probably like going along with like scientific groups and stuff up on some of these.
Assisting researchers, mostly herpetological researchers, including the guys who did the Madagascar Herps book. Cool. So yeah, our trip was unstructured. It was spontaneous. There was a few things I really wanted to see. I really wanted to see northern giant mouse lemur, and actually managed to see that.
The oxymoronic.
The first night. Yeah. It's such a cool lemur. I don't know if you've seen the cockerels, Charley, down in Corindi, but I'd seen the cockerels down there, but very, very brief views, no photos, and I really wanted to have a proper view of this thing, because once you sort of have your eye in on lemurs, as I do at this point, it's so different from anything else. It's its own genus, which is Murza, and they're really different from mouse lemurs, different from dwarf lemurs. Elisa kind of pointed out that they're almost like an eye. They have this eye sort of look to their snout and their teeth.
Yes.
It's a weird, cool animal. So I actually saw that on the first night. And then blue-eyed black lemur.
Did you get a photo?
Oh yeah, I got photos and videos, and yeah, it was a proper sighting.
Look forward to seeing those. The blue-eyed black is a really cool looking thing. That's a lot of the mouse lemurs or whatever, they look quite similar to other ones, but that blue-eyed black, it's just got these just
totally
bright blue eyes there. It just looks totally yeah.
So I saw that before I met Linzu, and then on the way back we actually stopped at a couple other little community reserves, and saw it again. One surprise and minor disappointment with that is that we found that a lot of them actually don't have blue eyes, especially in these little forests with like remnant scraps of forest and mango trees where they survive now. And I still haven't figured out why this is. If it's maybe an impoverished diet in those places, or there's been some controversy about whether it's a full species or whether they sort of integrate with the black lemur to the north. But I would say they looked very, very different, very distinct, but most of them had greenish eyes. We saw a couple sort of bluish eyes, but yeah, that was surprising. But it's still it's a fantastic animal. So,
but they're surviving in some of these little remnant patches, though.
Yes.
Absolutely minuscule, like little patches. We can tell Charley about the second forest we visited.
Second you visited, but
the first you visited. Yeah. So we'd sort of scouted this on the way, and then on the way back we stopped at this little forest, and we talked to this woman who's kind of the responsable of the tourist site, and we went there, but she was gone, and the only person around was this little girl who was like 10 years old.
10 years old.
And she's standing there.
For official permission from her.
Basically.
Yes.
And it was a bit of a sad story, because we come to find out that the mother of her mom, like her grandma, had just died. And so like every adult in the village was at the funeral, and then she was just left alone. And she seemed quite sad, and but
mature for her age.
Very mature and very responsible.
Yeah.
But we decided, okay, well, let's still go see the lemur. And so we finally asked her, do you know where to see the lemur? Yep. so she took us off into the forest, and we thought it was going to be like 500 meters, and it ended up being like 2 kilometers or something, and we went way up into the forest. But she was fantastic. She took us just to the right spots, and what did she tell us? Like,
in the beginning when we came to the place, she told us, okay, so now everyone, you have a look. We will search from our sides. The lemurs are somewhere here. So we end up in the beginning like somebody. I will go to the left, and Ken will go to the right, and Angelique in another side, and she will go in another
split
side.
Up split up.
Split up.
And remember when we left her house, she said, okay, like everybody bring water and mosquito repellent.
Mosquito repellent, yeah.
It sounds like she's done this before.
She certainly watched like her parents or some local guides do it. Definitely.
Or maybe follow them.
She's sort of imitating them, yeah.
Yep.
Oh, that's great.
And we found the lemurs.
Yeah,
like a
after
big group.
Quite a search.
What do you think the future is for the things in these little? Do they sort of use like mango trees or any other sort of degraded habitat around, or what?
They definitely do. They're in plantations. You know, I was talking to Linjo about this after. Like, I simultaneously find it depressing and a little bit encouraging, because some of these lemurs, they just have to learn to live with people in close proximity, and then the people have to kind of value them and protect them. That seems to be happening here. There's these ecotourist projects. People obviously aren't hunting them because they're not that shy. It's a little bit depressing, but it's just the reality of how things are in Madagascar. And one thing I found interesting, they're definitely eating mangoes, which is like huge food source. Even for very wild lemurs, they'll come out of the forest and eat mangoes.
Yeah.
But a lot of the groups of lemurs now, blue-eyed black, they're kind of sleeping in mangroves, and then they're coming out into the mango plantations during the day, eating mangoes and then sleeping in the mangroves. So it's this like hybrid habitat. Neither of those habitats would normally be where they want to be, but they're making it work.
But the combination.
Yep.
Yeah, that's fascinating. You know what I find? I don't know if these were doing it, but I know some of the lemurs up in Ankara Fansika, they would feed in mango trees, but they would take the mango and they would eat the skin and then throw the rest away. No, those cockerel sifakas up in Ankara Fansika, you'll see there's like these full mangoes that just had their skin eaten off, because that's the bit with all the nutrition and the vitamin C and stuff. So they I always tell my son that, when we're sort of peeling a mango and throwing the skin away, I always tell him about the lemurs in Madagascar that only eat the skin.
Weren't you telling me, Linjo, that the kids in the far south eat the skins of mango as well?
It made me thought of the kids in the far where you have starving, and they would eat the whole mango and only leave the seed. So it's not only lemurs, it's also some children.
Also clever kids.
Yeah. But we haven't noticed the blue-eyed lemur mango left, because the mango trees we passed by were all not ripe,
unripe,
still green.
Oh,
so
right. So
we couldn't see that.
We didn't see them actively in the mangoes, no. But the local people said, they eat mangoes a lot.
They eat mangoes.
Sure.
So the first thing that we did after Linjo and I met up kind of halfway from Diego to Tana was we went to this place called Bemenevka, which is this magical place where Madagascar pochards were rediscovered after being thought extinct for about 50 years. People found this population in this kind of like enchanted, protected lake up in the forest. It was protected by local fadis or taboos, and there's still beautiful forest there. And then after they found the pochard, they also found like most of the other rarest birds of Madagascar. Slender-billed flufftail, red owl, Madagascar Serpent-Eagle, things like Meller's duck, which on a tour we struggle to see one, are just abundant there. Madagascar pond herons, again, we struggle to see it once on a tour. They're just flying all over the place. Well. It's like this bizarre, like magical preserved place where all these things that are rare everywhere else are still there.
Yes.
You just reeled off 4. So I'm still missing 7 endemics from Madagascar, and you just listed 4 of them now.
Exactly.
In one place.
So do you want to tell Charley about the road to get up there?
Before telling about the road, I'm not very competitive like you, Charley and Ken, but I'm very, very happy, and it's really worth it, because I can say I had many lifers during that 2 weeks. I've seen everything I've missed and everything I didn't even think to see one day. So it was really, 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 a trip. It was wonderful. I've never had a look at I will tell you later, but the road is bad. Everywhere in Madagascar now, the road is bad. The rain starts, but then to go from the village of Bealalana to Bemanevk, the site where we have the forest, there is no road. There is a tractor road with holes like a meter deep. No road. You have those. I don't know how to explain. It's very dangerous. It's really a naturally adventurous drive. You have forest, you have grass, you have holes. You don't know where to go. You cross rivers where you don't know how deep it is the river. You have rocks.
There's
you have
big rocks in the riverbed.
you have very tight road where the car can barely fit in, and then you wonder where it goes. You go high, and then you don't know if there will be a hole welcoming you on the way down when you go on the top. So you have to stop and have a look and then go. And so if you come there, don't forget to bring a shovel. Nobody will tell you
Really?
for the information. You need a shovel, you need strength, and you need a lot of patience. And yeah, it's always high focus. We would say focus on the ficus. That's our, how do you say that?
Our, like a mantra.
Like a mantra.
We were driving along at some point, and this horrible point of the road where it needed like absolute focus. And then Angeluki's in the back of the car, and he's like, "Oh, I see a ficus, a fig tree." And then he was talking, and then Lindsay was like, "No, just focus."
Yeah,
like don't ignore the ficus.
Don't focus on the ficus.
Don't focus on the ficus.
Yeah. So it took us.
Were you driving, Ken?
Yeah, I did all
Ken was
the driving
driving.
for the
Vehicle,
whole
really?
trip. Yeah. You know, some people talk about 4x4 roads like a bad road. Like, you need a 4x4. At least in Madagascar. Usually what they mean is you need a high clearance car. You actually don't need 4x4. This was a literal 4x4 road. If you didn't have 4x4, like powerful low gear 4x4 in a proper 4x4, you're absolutely not going to get more than about 3 kilometers down this road. It's just, I mean, I went into 4x4 low probably 40 or 50 times going and coming just to be able to move. We got stuck once and had to dig out the car with a shovel. Yeah, it was a full-on road.
But we were told that a lot of cars are stuck at least 5 times. We have the tractors falling from the hill on a kind of cliff in the valley, like 30 meters down. You can look from there.
There's a tractor. Yep. 4x4 fell there. 4x4 fell down there. The whole thing was just litany of where everyone had fallen off. So.
And there are not much 4x4s going there, but more tractors. So they would just drive and like dig the hole.
What kind of distance is it from the town?
It is 42 kilometers, which is like 26 miles.
Yeah, but it took.
It's an eternity.
Like
it's almost 4 or 5 hours drive. Yeah.
But we've been lucky. On the way in, Ken haven't been stuck.
You've been there before, right, Ken?
Yeah, it was actually my 3rd time.
Really? And you've been? Did you get up there in someone else's vehicle last time, or on a bike, or what?
The first time I went on a motorbike, and second time was in 4x4s, and then this time I was driving our car.
But it was the first time for Angelique and I.
Really? It was the first time for Angelique to go there.
Yeah.
It's about the only place he hasn't been in northern Madagascar. He was very excited.
He was excited, eh?
Yeah.
Would you say it's any easier on a bike than in a car? Because often it is on bad roads, eh?
In some ways it's easier, but riding on the back of a motorbike on an incredibly bad road with sort of 20 to 30 kilos of gear on your back is also not very easy. It's also profoundly exhausting in a different way. So I would say it's almost equal but different.
No, but you can hire 2 motorbikes and somebody else carry your gear, and then you carry yourself on the back.
You could do that.
Luxury, yeah.
But some people do it by foot. They walk from the closest village and
7 miles to the camp. Yep. Wow. That's typical life in Madagascar. I mean, we saw people, for us, this was this great hardship driving our big 4x4 up there. But then we saw people on foot just walking it. And they were like just coming back from the market. So they walked 17 miles to go sell 5 chickens. And they're walking 17 miles home with the proceeds.
Do that every week.
Yep. They wake up 2-3 in the morning, start walking, kind of thing. Yeah,
so we got to Bemanevka finally, like beef just after sunset.
After dark. Oh, we saw
After dark.
and we saw Fusa on the
on
way
the
in.
way in.
Really?
Yeah.
Yes,
Wow.
just when we
During the
arrived.
day?
No, it was
maybe
dusk.
This is
6 p.m.
Okay,
like
yeah.
dark, right after sunset, just before we arrived to the campsite, and our guide said, "Stop! Stop! Stop! Stop!" And then we were what? And he didn't say anything. He went off the car and then he checked and then he called us Fusa, and then we ran and then left everything. Yeah, but no photo. It was too
No.
dark and
very
too
brief,
surprising.
brief
Yeah,
sighting.
Yeah.
but still a
Wow,
good
cool.
start.
Mm-hmm.
Like you're excited. Okay, Fusa. After all this drive, we started like in the morning and we barely had lunch. We had kind of
Some crackers and
yeah.
what do we have? Like
A
banana
bread,
chips.
yeah.
Oh, real super dry bread. Yeah, it was pretty much like 12 hours of driving, of like full on driving, and we got there after dark. It was a
But
long
it
day.
was
What? Just to get that 42K?
No, because we met in this town of Onsui. And
Oh,
then
you.
you
Oh,
have,
from. I was gonna say.
you have to drive 100 kilometers or 60 miles from Onsui to the sort
Yeah.
of regional town of Bialanana, which, you know, the fact that it takes us about 5 hours to drive that 60 miles tells you that that's a horrible road in its own right. And then you go on to that
Yeah.
42 kilometers of truly bad 4x4 road.
yeah, but also you have to kind of. That's part of the adventure. We have to wait. Like we had to wait a bit for the guide.
Oh, sure, there's always...
always like.
and then we had to do a little shopping to get food, to bring our own food.
because we were going to camp.
Getting later and later.
Yeah. It was...
So we arrived to the campsite and we set our tents and trying to look around where to stay, but we were too exhausted to start with a night walk. So we decided we have dinner and then we have rest, and tomorrow nature is waiting for us.
Yeah.
The birds and everything.
The reason to go through all that suffering.
Yeah.
So the
and
campsite is right there, sort of next to the forest or in the forest.
It's in a little scrap of,
yeah.
of sort of secondary forest. Initially,
Right.
when the Peregrine Fund started working there, they put it right in the
Right
forest
in the
next to the
forest.
lake. Then they were worried
Right.
about contaminating the water and stuff.
So they moved.
Moved it. So it's about 2 kilometers maybe from the real forest.
Okay.
But it's in this beautiful
Yeah.
little secondary forest next to a river. There's like Meller's ducks
Meller's
nesting next to
duck.
the camp. Moorhens that are like eating the
Moorhens.
rice scraps. And there's brown lemurs that come down into the camp every morning. So it's a nice spot.
And a few small birds, like little bird, like mannequins,
and
everything.
foodies,
Uh-huh.
Foodies, the common one white
Cool.
eye.
stone
And then we
chat.
just go around, and when you wake up in the morning, it's just very beautiful.
Just surrounded by
and
birds and
The
yeah,
birds, and they're very. You can feel it's very peaceful.
they're not persecuted.
Yeah.
It's like they know that these guys are on our side, and the camp is like this little refuge. Yeah, so we spent 5 nights up there. Once we'd done that terrible drive to get up there, we weren't particularly eager to go in a hurry. I mean, I just
No.
wanted to recuperate from the driving and just not drive for days. We were so ready to walk and so unready to drive. So it was just delightful to walk all day, every day.
Was it just the three of you, or did you have like a local guide?
Yeah,
as well?
there's a sort of a local guide there who's kind of the boss of the crew now. A guy called Lukman. A very nice guy, very, very serious about
Very
what he
serious.
does. But very, very,
Right.
very focused on the ficus and very, but he absolutely wants to help you find the birds. And
really?
he's a
Okay,
good
cool.
man. And the funny thing is, I met him 10 years ago, the first time I was up there, and he was just one of the technicians, and now he's kind of climbed up to be
Cool.
the boss of the whole project there. So
Uh-huh.
it's interesting to just check in with somebody multiple times over 10 years. So Lukman was helping us out. Yeah, the first day we went to the lake with the pochards and we did a little boat ride there. They have a little pirogue, and got to see pochards and madgrebes and all those water birds. And
How many poachers in the wild there now?
He said something like 62.
Yeah, I was thinking, or almost 70.
Yeah, 60 to
right.
70.
Because there's
he
captive
was.
breeding populations as well, I guess. Eh?
Yep. They're actually down in the town of Ansui. There's a captive breeding site that we visited briefly.
Right.
So yeah, they're trying. And there's actually some good news. They have a new project. They found another lake that's sort of, 60 kilometers away. And they're starting to release those captive bred birds into the wild there. And they did a huge program to educate local fishermen and villagers about not killing these birds. And apparently it's going really well. They're breeding there, and they're common. Apparently, though, because they've been captive bred, they're just like unbelievably tame. They'll just like swim up to your feet. So one of the world's rarest birds is almost like a farmyard duck in this place. Apparently, it's really? kind of bizarre. Yeah, we saw pochards. Then we saw to me the coolest thing, we saw a mother pochard with 4 little pochard ducklings, and that was just a very life-affirming thing to see. This bird just like climbing back from the brink of extinction in the wild. Yeah.
Oh, fantastic! So just to tell people what they look like, they're just sort of like a uniform brown color, are they?
Yeah, basically. Honestly, it's not the world's most beautiful diving duck. The females are quite brownish, and males are a little bit darker and with a little bit of purplish iridescence on the head if you get them in just the right angle. When they fly, they have the typical like big white stripe through the wing of those Athia ducks, those the big genus of diving ducks. So yeah, it's not a spectacular bird by appearance, but evolutionarily it's fascinating that there's just this duck, this diving duck on Madagascar. The fact that it's there in the first place, that it was almost extinct, and then it was discovered again. It's quite the story.
Yeah, and then you only see them in that place where
the only place on Earth.
Of visitors. Like we've been the only visitor this year because of COVID, and that's why our Lookman guide was very serious as well, because it's he had no visitors, even researchers. Nobody came during the whole year.
Yep.
So it was interesting, and it was so nice to see. Just it was like a bird paradise. The lake was, you just feel like, Mellors, Pochard,
Madagascar
grebe, and they would call and they would fly and pass next to you, and it's like almost in a Disney movie, or it's not like fantastic.
It's almost too good to be true.
Too good to be true.
And it's a weird thing when you drive that horrible road. You go out of a typical village, dusty, and there's absolutely no forest, and there's rice paddies and villages, and that stuff has its own kind of beauty, but it's not natural beauty. And you climb and you climb and you climb, and then it's like suddenly you start to see forest, and it at some point it's like you've climbed into paradise out of this kind of purgatory of humans. The place has this weird magical quality to it that it's hard to describe. Even the light up there, you're at such a high elevation. You're at almost 6,000 feet, which is pretty high for Madagascar. So the light has this like weird quality, like this purity to it. The air is pure. The water is pure. It's just like this pure place.
It's magical.
Yeah.
It's really magical.
Did it get cold at night?
Linjo did, I think.
Yeah, it was cool. It was cool.
It's cool.
It was a nice,
comfortably cool.
Yeah, nice weather and temperature just great.
Comfortable temperature.
Yeah.
That's actually part of why we went there, is because everything else that you do in northern Madagascar in this time of year is just absolutely sweating so like a pig. Yeah. So this was a way of like, it is the hottest month in December in Madagascar.
I've done December tours. Often we would do November, and I've done a couple in December, and it's just incredibly hot.
It's a really good month for wildlife. It's just so hot. It's
Anyway, I'm dying. Look, you've told me about one of the birds I haven't seen. I want to know about the other 3. What did you? What about the owl and the fluff-tail and the serpent-eagle? Any sign of those?
The red owl. So on the first day, we were looking for the red owl in the forest near the lake.
Next to
so
the
they
lake.
have like 3 lakes. So we have 4 lakes on the site, and then we've been to 2 of them. Huge lakes.
They used to have a radio tagged individual, right?
Yes, for the common serpent-eagle.
Well,
that's a serpent-eagle. Okay.
They did have radio tagged red owls, but I think
Red owls,
they
but
were
they-
they
yeah.
disappeared or something.
They
Yeah.
finished.
Yes, something
Yeah.
happened with the red owl. So we were looking on the first site. We haven't seen none. Like
Full morning.
full morning
searching all the
walking.
normal roosts.
Yeah, all on the
Right.
roost. And then after that, we went on the boat. Okay, the red owl will be for tomorrow maybe, or this afternoon later. Then we went and enjoyed the Pochard, and the next day
Uh-huh.
we went in a different forest, not forest, but on a different site,
Right,
like
different lake.
circuit, different
Uh-huh.
lake and
Yeah.
mountain. Whew. Was a long day. Hiking, naturally adventurous, off trail, going up and down.
Just to
I
explain a
saw-
little bit, we went because there's red owl and serpent-eagle in this different forest, and the
Right.
red owls are not radio tagged. The serpent-eagles are, and so we took the Lukman took his assistant, and they had a radio tracker for the serpent-eagle. So that was our plan.
Right.
Is like maybe we're going to see both of these birds in this day with the help of the radio tracker.
Right.
Yeah, so we went for the serpent-eagle, but that's after walking like hours. The assistant called us, come here. Then we're like, what's there? He didn't say red
Didn't say
owl.
anything.
They never say
What they're looking
what
at.
they're
It's just,
looking
"Come,
at.
look."
You just
Just say,
follow
come,
and
come,
walk,
yeah.
and you try to ask, but they're like, just walk. They don't listen. So we come up and then we see this huge
Ficus. We focused.
We focused
right.
on the
We should
ficus,
have
like
focused on the
very
ficus,
tall.
yeah.
I think Ken will send some,
Yeah.
put some picture, and
Uh-huh.
he was pointing, look, and we were kind of, look at what? Then we look and very high on a very tiny hole angle when you have to lay down on the ground because you can't really watch that eye, you will break your neck. And then you see that red owl looking down to you, a beauty.
No, really.
Very high, but just the beauty. Ah, it was my first red owl. Charley, you will be jealous. I had wonderful look. And we stayed for minutes, and then he was kind of looking around, and then he turned and he kind of went into the ficus tree, trying to find a better angle, you know.
Lukman, he's going to go. So just to explain,
Yeah.
this is a strangler fig that had totally strangled the host tree, and the host tree had died and rotted away, and so it was essentially this huge columnar tunnel, strangler fig tunnel. It's like the perfect place for these owls.
But he wanted to find a better angle, and then he went inside, and then he called us, Ken, Linjo, come here. There was a second owl, but lower, like 2 meters high, roosted inside the ficus. So after the great look outside, we had another look inside, like he was just there, not afraid,
like
nothing.
Less than 2 meters over our
Less than
heads.
2 meters, even a short person like me. I had
It wasn't
like
that far.
you know, I could reach it if I just climb. If it's not, it's not. Yeah, I could caress it. You know me. But of course, I did not. You know, I didn't want to disturb that
we
beautiful.
Ken and I often make fun of
owl.
Linzo because she often sees a lemur and she says, "Oh, I would like to caress it."
Yeah, when I didn't know, I was thinking I want to pet it actually, but I know it's not good for wildlife. It's just a fantasy. So we've seen
very
2
jealous.
red
So-
owl.
So these
Two
red
owls.
owls, they look very much like a barn owl, but like with a sort of more reddish upper parts. Aren't they?
Yeah, yep, it's in that family,
Taito.
quite reddish. But we actually came back and saw them active, like later, and I got to see them
really?
flying.
Like, flying around.
And when you see them flying, they are really, really red. Like when they're
Yeah.
perched, it kind of looks like a barn
Yeah.
owl, but when they fly, it's like
Yeah.
that is a red owl. It's actually red.
Wow. I know that there's sometimes seen up in Masawala, which is a place we go on the tours, and I've spent quite a few nights, for hours and hours, stumbling around in the forest, sort of playing the cold and looking for these things without any luck. So this is a real nemesis of mine.
It's a strangely difficult bird to see, and I don't really understand. They live in the interior of forest. Apparently, they go out to hunt in the grasslands, just like barn owls.
Right.
But it's a weird niche. It's kind of hard to understand what their niche is, and it might be one of these things where they're being outcompeted by barn owls too.
Right. Yeah.
So after this magical tunnel of the ficus owl sighting, we were still on the trail of Serpent-Eagle. When we first arrived at this forest, the guys went to a hilltop with the radio receiver and checked, and there was just not a sign of the birds. The birds have this little emitter on their back, and it just gives a little beep every 2 seconds or something. And so all morning they're waving their radar wand around, and just nothing. And so we're just thinking that's it. And so by the time we found the red owl, it was already sort of 11 a.m. We'd been hiking for hours and hours. Yeah. And just as we were about to head back to the camp, they picked up the signal of the Serpent-Eagle. So it was like, off we go.
Yeah.
Luke is very serious.
We need to see the Serpent-Eagle.
So it was incredibly exciting when we first started honing in on the Serpent-Eagle, because you're getting these very faint beep, beep.
Yeah.
And, you think this is going to be very easy. Unnatural and easy, right? When you think of like a radio-tagged animal. And that might be true if you're talking about a lion or something in a canned safari park. But when you're talking about a raptor in dense primary forest, it's still incredibly hard to see it. And it's incredibly... just to sort of triangulate it just took hours to get closer and closer, and you have to stop every 20 steps and get the location again and go forwards. Right. And all that, you're all completely off trail, so you're just thrashing through the underbrush. You're going up a slope and down.
You just lose your orientation.
Totally.
Like you don't know where is the north, where is the south, where is the east. You're like lost, just following the
only thing you have to navigate you is this little beep being emitted by this eagle. Sometimes
it's very low, like beep, boop. And sometimes very high, beep. And then you try to guess, okay, which way? It's a real adventure. It was a naturally adventurous trip.
So you pay her every time she gets the podcast name.
She was saying that the whole trip. She was like, this is really naturally adventurous.
Yeah, 1,000 nari for each one.
No, I'd prefer what's the money in Thailand?
Baht.
Oh, baht.
Yeah, save them for me when I come to visit you.
You're 100 baht, yeah.
So the other thing about the Serpent-Eagle, it's extremely shy. It's not one of these raptors that just sits up on a big dead tree or something. This is part of why it's so hard to see in the wild. It sits low down, especially when it's hunting. And it chooses the thickest places, and it sort of hunts chameleons and snakes low down in the forest, and it's incredibly shy. Really? So as you're following this little beep beep through the forest, you're absolutely silent, and you take a few steps, and then you listen for the beep again, and then so this was basically hours of absolute focus, and you take 10 steps, and then you're scanning with all of your intensity into the low tangle. You're picking up your bins, and you're looking, you're starting to almost hallucinate that you're seeing this bird, this big, huge eagle sitting. And it just went on and on for hours. And then so finally, we got incredibly close.
Yeah, a high beep.
Right. Beep, beep, beep. It was almost beep, beep. They had to turn down the little thing to not actually scare the bird with the beep.
Yeah.
And so, what did they say? We're within 50 meters.
Yes, within 50 meters. In one direction, and then like everywhere, it could be anywhere around us on a
within a 50-meter radius.
50-meter radius.
So you think it's going to be easy again with the radio transmitter, but when you get right next to the bird, it stops helping you.
Directionality. Yeah.
Yep.
So we were all trying to find
desperately
every centimeter of the canopy, of the
just
low level,
upwards.
Even on the ground, because he might be
I feel like
on
I'm
the
in
ground.
the forest now, Ken.
It was one of the more intense birding experiences I've ever had. Really, it was
really?
Very exciting, but very. And I've seen this bird like 4 times before, but just the intensity of the hunt was really something. It had this weird feeling of like Vietnam War as well, because we're walking through the forest. Yeah. It's like we've got the comms guy with the radar. It's like he's trying to get hold of headquarters or something, and we're
stand on a twig. everyone pauses. So, in the end, we got to within 50 meters of this thing. We spent maybe 2 hours trying to spot it. Maybe an hour. Maybe I'm exaggerating. But
we don't really
feel
the time.
Yeah,
you lose your sense of time, and you just focus.
You're in the
in the mood, like you need to see that bird. You walked, you walked like you hiked for hours.
Like 8 hours. You absolutely
and you just
want to
see it. You think of the bad drives, the bad roads, and then you say, "I'm not going back without seeing that bird."
Without this bird.
Yeah.
Charlie knows how that goes.
Yeah. So we've been there. No lunch. We had no snacks anymore. Water was
gone. Snacks were gone.
Oh no, really?
and it started to rain.
Well, first of all, basically we got within 50 meters. We searched for maybe an hour and we couldn't spot it. And then finally we got close enough to it, that it flew.
Yeah.
And it flew. It flew like 200 meters. And then we radio tracked it again, and we got within 50 meters, and we spent, half an hour, and we couldn't spot it. This thing is right over our heads somewhere. He flew when it flew. It was directly over our heads. He was staring at us the whole time, but we could not find this bird. I mean, it was unbelievable with the amount of searching we were doing. This is such an elusive bird, and this happened 3 times. We got within 50 meters. Search. The bird flies away. So we actually had pretty awesome flight views multiple times.
Yeah.
But you really start to want to see it perched as well.
Yeah.
To tell you.
to grip off Charlie.
So did you find it?
Yeah, we just saw on that day. We saw it in flight, right from above our head, where we never saw him perched. But he was somewhere.
Often when it comes to that point, you're thinking, you're glad that you've seen it, or you just want to. You sort of drop your standards. You're like, oh, if I just see it just flying even a little bit better, whatever.
Yes, but when you think it was that close,
it's so
then you don't want to. So we were happy on that day.
We were happy.
How did they catch this thing? Was this a sort of juvenile that was tagged in the nest, or what?
I think so. Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
I think they found a nest and then, but man, tough. Yeah. I mean, just thinking about climbing up to the nest of one of these things. We actually saw an old nest. And it was, 30 meters up in a huge tree. It's pretty amazing what they're able to do. So you were saying it was starting to rain. Yeah, so that was after we saw it fly.
After we saw it fly twice?
Right. 3 times. At least 3 times, yeah.
And then we needed to go back. And another naturally adventurous time, because we didn't know where we were. We kind of thought even Lukman, our guide, was kind of lost.
Definitely.
But so we started to go back with the rain in the thick
totally
forest.
Off trail on this ridge line.
Right. And you kind of remember you've passed that place or not, but we were turning around and we didn't go out on the same way, and then it's a total different way, slippery, muddy, with the rain, muddy, and then
pouring rain now. It's absolutely pouring rain. Linjo didn't have an umbrella.
Yeah, no
I had
umbrella.
an umbrella, but it didn't do me much good because you're in thick forest, so you can't really hold this thing over your head.
And you had to cross almost in the end. You had to cross that river on a very old trunk as a bridge,
like
very
one slippery tree trunk. Yep.
I couldn't make it alone. I had to take the Lukman guide hands to cross it, but I could not walk alone on that slippery. And even the assistant, he was like, "I'm afraid," like a 5-year-old kid. He didn't want. He was terrified to cross, and so Angelique helped him to cross that bridge between brackets / just a old trunk, where only 1 by 1, but we were too terrified to fall in the river. It was like 3 meters high.
Yeah, it was 3 meters above, and it was
water,
covered in like moss, and
then
it was pouring rain, and it was slippery. It was pretty.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
Yeah, but it was nice. We were happy. We saw the Serpent-Eagle. We had a great great look at the red owl.
Oh, that owl was...
So it's all worth it.
That owl, I would say, could easily be a top 10 lifetime bird sighting for me. So Charlie and I did our top 10 lifetime birds. That one, if we redid it now, it might have a spot.
We might have to updates. Yeah.
Yeah. So it was like
It sounds
5.
amazing.
Yeah, it was 5
5
p.m. We were all day out.
No lunch.
No lunch, no water, no
But
snack.
you made it back in the end safely.
We made it back in the end. Yeah, safely. Wet, like
Absolutely soaked. Boots just
Boots were
sloshing
heavy.
with water.
full of mud and water. I would wait like maybe 5 extra kilos with the mud and the water on myself. So we head back to the camp and we had
some
dinner.
food.
We were hungry and then slept. And the next day, hunting for the
Slender-billed flufftail, right?
When did you come back to the?
It was
The
the
final
next
day
day
It was the
after.
next day. Yeah. So your next lifer on the next day.
That wasn't nearly such an exciting story. We basically spent
Yeah.
hours at a marsh searching for this flufftail, and
But
eventually
on a
had
huge marsh.
huge marsh.
Beautiful sight.
Really?
Again, it's
beautiful
like-
landscape.
It's like lost paradise.
Yeah.
Like when you're down in the normal sites, we're in like a little sliver of marsh that's like 20 meters across. This marsh
Right,
is
yeah.
like,
It's enormous.
I don't know,
really.
40 hectares or something. It's just huge,
Yeah.
and it's full of mad harriers.
We were looking for the slender, but then we saw that huge, I would say huge, huge bird flying just above head, and they're like the other ducks, very
So
happy,
tame.
tame, peaceful, happy, free.
What are these? The
Madagascar harrier.
Madagascar
harrier, yeah.
harrier. I was reading.
which they split recently, didn't they? I think it's a very rare bird now. That
It's either endangered or critically endangered.
endangered or critically. Yeah,
It's
because it was
incredibly
split from
rare.
reunion, yeah.
I think it's probably almost as rare as the Serpent-Eagle or the red owl.
Yeah.
It's
No, it must be up there.
So we think they had a nest on that marsh. So it was a whole family, the father, the mother, and the 2 chick.
Really?
And we're
Very
just
cool.
flying around, calling. Ken has a few records,
a bunch of recordings
bunch of
of them calling.
recordings
Wow.
of them calling,
Yeah.
and it was like the best look ever.
Just over our head.
Overhead. I was like, it's okay if I don't see that slender now, I'm happy. Yeah.
But we finally, after a lot of persistence, we had great views of slender-billed flufftail crossing this
Really?
open area. Nice male.
Did you photograph it?
Yep. It was a little bit far away, but
Right.
certainly got photos and got some good recordings as well, which was nice. Some different
Right.
calls that haven't been recorded before. So that
Handy
was
for when I go.
yep. That was exciting too. It's just a super rare bird. It's basically the only place anybody ever sees it anymore as well.
Right.
There's just so many things like
Yeah.
that up at Bemenivka.
Yeah.
And then the next day was, I guess that was our last full day, right? Up at Bemenivka.
Yeah, the next day.
So we decided, okay, let's go try to see the Serpent-Eagle again. We want to see it perched this time. So it was pretty much the same thing all over again in terms of the kind of walking through the jungle.
Yes.
Beep, beep, beep. We
You
located
probably
it.
took a little bit extra water and food though this time.
Yeah, we had quite a few snacks this time.
Yeah, heavier pack.
I think we all had on our umbrellas, and so we picked it up a lot quicker this time.
Right.
That's
and
still long.
It's still long.
Like
I mean,
until 2.
it was a long walk. It was still sort of 8
It
hours.
was the worst walk actually because we went on this like steep
Yeah, we
where
went
you use this
this
coconut.
almost vertical ridge. The birds seem to like the thickest areas on the steepest slopes. But basically, after hours of just intense, the same thing, just scanning and listening to the beeps, Lukeman spotted this thing. And it was one of these great sightings where
You bow down.
you're like a foot above the ground, and that's the only way you can see it. There's a tiny hole.
Right.
So all 4 of us are kind of like laying on top of each other on the ground, all straining with our binoculars, trying to see through this tiny
and
hole.
trying to stay like quiet.
Stay quiet, right?
Yeah,
Because this
not
bird is incredibly
Yeah.
shy. And we all got on it, and I got some pictures. but it was only there for 20 seconds or something, and then it flew.
Really?
So shy. But then we actually followed it, and we saw it, 2-3 more times. Pretty well.
Close. Pretty
Right.
close,
Pretty
I would
close.
say, from our expectations. Like, and then on the trunk, not perched on a branch, but on that trunk,
like on almost on a vertical trunk. It was perched in this very weird way, which maybe is part of why we couldn't find it the other day. They just perch in this strange way.
Yeah, I think
almost like
that's
a
why.
roosting owl or something,
Right.
up against a trunk. One thing I enjoyed about this sighting was that this was a female and as in most raptors, females are way bigger.
Bigger.
And when I saw this bird, I realized this is the first female I've ever seen. So all my other sightings of serpent-eagle had been males, which are way smaller. But this was an impressive, huge, huge raptor, especially when it flew. Wow. It's just a beast. It was very exciting. I mean, just such a rare bird that we'd spent so much time trying to see, and to see it so well was satisfying.
Yeah, for a first time, it was...
Well, I hate to break this up, but I think Charley needs to go, and this podcast is getting a little bit long. How about if we continue this discussion in a part 2 in a few days?
I think that's a great idea. I'm on the edge of my seat, and I want to.
We had a lot of other adventures. The Bemenevka was just the beginning. We did lots of other stuff, and have a few more good stories to tell. So
fantastic. So we'll save that for the next episode. Eh?
Okay, thank you for having me here. Bye-bye.
Just be sure to come back. So
Okay.
the natural sound for this episode is going to be the Madagascar harriers that I recorded at the big marsh with the slender-billed flufftails. Very funny little call. It sounds like the call of a tiny bird, even though it's coming from this great big raptor. When I first heard it, I thought it was a call of a stonechat or something. I realized I'd never heard this bird calling before. So a funny little call from this extremely endangered endemic raptor of Madagascar. And thanks for chatting, Lindsay.
Very cool.
Looking
Thank
forward to
you.
part
Great
2.
to catch up.
Yeah.
Yep. Look forward to it.
All right. Thanks everybody for listening. We'll catch you shortly.